Okay, hey, I'm Natalie Callback, and today I say hi to Gwen Lafleur, who is one of our creative jumpstarters. And she has been involved in arts and craft her entire life. She makes amazing things, you will see. And she also works full time in the e commerce industry, but whenever she has a free moment, she is found in her craft and art studio making assemblage and some funky stuff. You have no idea. She also makes amazing stencils for Stencil Girl products, which you should check out, mostly inspired by her travels, which are very exotic. And maybe we get to talk to her about it for a moment. Hey, Gwen, nice to see you.
Hi, it's good to see you too.
Gwen, tell us a little bit about yourself and your artwork.
Sure. So I grew up in the Northern Virginia area, but I live now in Salt Lake City. And I have kind of the artwork has just evolved from coloring books to paper crafting to just whatever I'm interested in. And it is just kind of a mix, like you said, of travels and just things that I like and things that make up who I am. And so I pull anything that I'm interested in at any given time together, and it just becomes a part of what I'm working on, which is why when I got into mixed media, that really ended up being something that really was such a perfect fit for me because there are no boundaries, there's
Hmm.
no limit to what you're able to do or use or anything like that. And so that's kind of it. It's, anything that is interesting to me, I just kind of shove it together and it becomes part of what I'm working on.
Your work is always very intricate too. Like
Hmm.
you do a lot of different things. Like you add like beads and found objects, right? That you found during your travels, which I
Yeah.
find so interesting. So
Uh-huh.
you have been on a very amazing trip lately. Where were
I
you?
I went late summer, early fall this year. I spent a week in China, and then we went up across the border to Mongolia, where I got on the Trans-Siberian Railroad. So we went north through Mongolia for 2 days and got on and off there and saw all kinds of amazing things, and then crossed over into Russia, and then went all the way across Siberia and into Moscow. So that was about 3 weeks, 10 days in Siberia and in Moscow. And it was absolutely amazing, so inspiring. And I don't think that that's even, I've been so busy that what I got from that trip hasn't even sunk in yet. So that's going to start to filter out into my artwork probably within the next year, I think.
I cannot wait to see it. I hope you're gonna make some amazing stencils too, and maybe
That could
stamps.
come. That could happen.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
should. I saw some really cool videos that you did, and also some
Uh,
cool photos. And I kind of like when I travel, I always it somehow percolates, and then
uh-huh.
it gets into something in my artwork too. It's just the
Yeah.
world is just amazing. I feel.
Yeah, it is. And I'm especially obsessed with Asia right
Hmm.
now. And when you're there, the intricacy of the art and all of the detail and the textiles and just the color and everything, I think that is part of what feeds why so much of what I do right
Hmm.
now is so very intricate with all the beading and the details and all of that. I think that's very influenced by Asian art and the things that I've been seeing in my travels over the last few years.
You're self taught with everything, aren't you?
For the most part, I take as many classes as I can. When I lived in Chicago, I went to the School of the Art Institute of
Hmm.
Chicago, and I was in their continuing education program for a while, and then I left Chicago, so I wasn't able to finish it. But I got a lot of really fantastic, high quality education while I was there. So that helped a lot and really kind of just kick-started where I was and bumped me up to a new level,
That's
I
cool.
think. I hope.
No, yeah, definitely. I also wanted to see, so you're working full time, and since I have, before I was a full time artist, I don't know if you know, I was a paralegal for 17
Uh-huh.
years, and I
Wow.
used to work, full time and kind
Hmm.
of probably like you, spend all my free time
Hmm.
created. But, some people have a real, like, they wonder, how can I create when I'm
Oh
like
yeah.
working the whole day? So, what does a typical day for you look like where you
Uh-huh.
cramp in some, you know, creative time?
I don't usually get home from work until almost 7 o'clock. And so I tend to I come home and I have something to eat, and then I usually will crash for a little while and just let myself get my breath back. But then I'll go into the studio at like 9 o'clock at night and work for 2 or 3 hours. I have to have something that I do in the evenings to make me feel like there's a separation between work and work. There has to be something in between that is me and part of who I am and what I do. So I'll just go up to the studio. I have I put music on my computer. I bought a really good speaker system for my computer because music is a must-have part of the creative process for me. That's how I get myself going. I just turn on whatever. I have a couple different playlists and I just start working. I'll pull something out. I generally try to have something in mind that I want to do because my time is so limited.
Yeah.
But, whatever it is that I'm working about, I'm like, okay, I have to start. Let's just do something. And so I'll do something and I'll work for a few hours and then I'll let it go. And weekends, I tend to just put in a little more time in the studio, but it's just, you grab whatever time you can.
Do you work on several projects at the same time, or do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of what I do has drying time. So I'll be working with something that has molding paste or, paint. Or I do a lot of work lately with clay, with epoxy clay. So that has a curing time. So if I'm working on one thing, then I'll set something aside and then work on something else. And, I'm lucky that the climate that I live in, the air is very, very dry. So things dry really quickly, but it's still, there's that time in there where, so you switch back and forth. I don't like to have downtime, always working on something. And so I think that's part of why I'm able to get so much done.
Yeah, that always screws me off when I'm in climates that I'm not used to and it dries like super quick. I remember one time I was teaching in Malaysia and it was like super hot, and I was just explaining while pouring acrylic paint, and the acrylic paint almost dried while mid-air. And I was like, oh, this is a different way. Because it's so moist here in the, or humid, that's what you say.
Yeah, we say, humid.
Right, in the summer here. And so I'm totally not used to it. But I get that it's probably nice when you want to have something dry quick.
It is a benefit in some situations, but if you ever want to jelly print or do anything that requires working with wet paint, you really have to work fast. And you have to use a lot of add things in here to extend that open time. But otherwise, I think it's a benefit most of the time.
Oh, that's interesting. So we talked a little bit about it already, what you mix and match. So you do like clay and beads. And what are you like favorite? Do you have any favorite media, or does it really depend?
It really depends, and it changes. I stay pretty consistently with acrylic paints and mediums, obviously. I really got into clay about a year ago when I was taking classes with Andrea and Michael Demeng. And that has really influenced me a lot and obviously changed my work a lot in the last year. I love to work with found objects. You'll see me do a lot of cardboard, chipboard, different upcycled things as well. Trying to reuse things that are already there. I like that a lot. And it's probably why assemblage really appealed to me. Is that aspect of it. And beads, fabric. I've gotten to the point now where I'm able to start to pull in different things that I love all together. And so I really like how that's been working out. But yeah, the consistent thing is always going to be paper, paint, mediums, and then whatever else I'm interested in at the time just gets thrown in with it.
So I know you make some beautiful, beautiful art journaling pages, but I assume that's the way for me, at least. I work very flat and very, just because of the nature for me for an art journal. And then I work on off the canvas, off the art journal on a canvas or whatever. I guess, is that the same for you, or do you incorporate found objects also into your art journal?
Mostly I'm flat in my art journal. I'll do a little bit of dimensional work. I'll bring in some things that are more not really thick. But for the most part, I keep it pretty flat just because things smush into each other and dent the pages. And so the times that I've done that, I'm like, oh, that looks like crap.
It looks good unless you close the book at some
Yeah, it
point.
looks good until you shut the book and set it on the shelf for a while, and then you come back and you're like, oh, wow, that was great.
That didn't work out too well. Now
Yeah,
it's
well,
all stuck together. Great, right?
it's all a learning experience,
Exactly,
right?
that's how I see it too. Don't
Yep,
cry over a spilled art journaling page. It was
exactly.
all worth the time working on it, right?
Uh-huh.
Gwen, you have been a creative jumpstarter before,
Yes.
and your video is amazing. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think what people get out of Creative Jumpstart, and what do you get out of Creative Jumpstart, if any?
I really enjoy multiple aspects of it. So obviously the jumpstart part of it, I think having something creative that you look forward to every day to start your year, because I'm so, right now, I'm like, I am so looking forward to January. I have so many projects I want to do. I have so much stuff that I want to do. And to have that inspiration daily, different things that you could try, or just the desire to get into the studio to create, I think that is so worth it. If you get nothing else out of it, I think it's worth it. But the other part of it that I really love is so many different teachers, so many different styles and types of projects. Last year, there were a lot of things that I was like, this is not me. This isn't, this isn't the kind of thing I'm interested in, but I would really like to try that now that I've seen somebody else do it. And so it kind of expanded my own interest in the things that I wanted to do and the things that I knew how to do after taking it. And so I think there's a lot of benefit in multiple areas to going through and doing all of the videos and
Cool.
participating. Yeah.
So the difference between last year and this year is last year I was so evil that I had you guys use specific supplies, and
Yeah.
this year the theme was a different one, and you were open to whatever.
Yeah.
And I asked a couple teachers because I was interested in it. Did you like that better to have certain supplies, or did you dislike?
It's different. And sometimes I like the constraint. I took a creativity class in business school, and one of the things that they would always say is creativity loves constraints. And so I think that it made me more creative to have to work within those boundaries with the products. But they were really awesome products, so it wasn't actually all that hard. But the theme was a little bit more constraining as well. And I thought that that was really good for me and to help me grow as I put that together. This year, I liked the freedom of it because it allowed me to go in a completely different direction with both the supplies and the type of project that I did. And so they're just different. I don't know that I liked one better than the other. I just think the outcome is going to be very different for people who see it.
Yeah, I agree. It has a very different quality. Last year, you could learn so many different things using the same supplies. Like, it was just like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And this year, it's more of a variety of styles and projects and everything, and materials, of course, which for some people might be a little bit hard because they're like, oh, so what am I going to buy for it? And our supply list is pretty, it's like, okay, there are a couple basics that all of you use all the time, but then it's pretty much all over the place. So I'm actually very excited about it because I have seen you using some stuff that I've never seen before. And that's always awesome because I'm like, I think I need this. So do you want to give us a little hint? I can say at least you'd made an assemblage, right? So you want to tell us a little bit about what it is and what was your idea behind it?
Yeah, this one came about in an interesting way. I had found a couple of pieces of unfinished wood at the craft store. And those were the entire foundation for the piece. That was the whole inspiration came out of those pieces, and the way that it all comes together and what I did with it and the materials I used all came because it was based on these wood things that I used as part of it. So that was it, and it sort of just flowed. I mean, it just seemed like, well, this is what it should be. And then it was just a matter of what are the details of what each part of that then looks like. So I don't know, is that enough of a hint?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's a beautiful assemblage. And I want to add that because it was such an intricate piece, as that's your work,
Yeah,
You actually were so generous in creating some extra bonus videos.
it
So
did.
instead of just like 10 minutes, the 10 minutes are like the main,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, like a main thing that you can take apart and then make something
Mm-hmm.
based on
Yeah.
that. But you were actually even so generous adding some other parts of how you put
Mm-hmm.
those, the assemblage together. And so I
Yeah.
think there's like another 20 minutes or something.
It was like 12 or 17. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like two
I
extra
just like
videos.
I couldn't just tease you with here's this thing I made and put on here. I was like, well, I have to show you how I made it. So
Yeah,
thank you for including that because I'm really excited to share that as well.
yeah, I can't wait for everyone to see it. You did such an amazing job with it.
Oh, thank
So, yay! So,
you.
Gwen, I know you're very busy today too. You're at your family's house
Yeah.
and you're heading out for a flight very soon. So, I want to keep you not too long. But do you have anything that you would like to add? Do you have any upcoming classes or products or
Mhm.
something, secrets?
I have a couple of classes that I will be teaching in Connecticut this spring.
Cool.
So for anybody that's in that area, keep your eyes out. And there may be some new Stencil Girl designs coming in that same time period, a little before, maybe April-ish. I'm super, super, super excited about them. They're probably not what you're expecting, but
Ooh.
I really like them, and I think it's something that a lot of people will really enjoy. So just keep your eye out for that as well.
Yeah, cool. I cannot wait to see them.
Yeah, I can't
April.
wait to share them. I've been sitting on them already for a while. I like
I know it's the
get
worst
them out
about it.
there.
Like I think people often don't know that when we do products that we do them a long time
Yes,
in advance, and
yes.
then even when they are confirmed that they will be released, you
Hmm.
still have to wait a long time until you can
Yeah.
finally tell that, and
Hmm.
it's quite mean.
It is kind of, but it theoretically it gives us time to make samples.
That's true.
Theoretically, as I
Theoretically.
worked on mine like 3 weeks before every time.
Exactly.
But
I hear you.
yeah, yeah. But
Thank you
yeah.
so much, Gwen. It was so much fun to talk to you and actually
You
see you
too.
for the very first time in
No, I
person.
know. We've known each other for a while, and this is the first time,
I
so
know.
it's been fun.
Thank you, and have a
Thanks.
great flight home, and see
Thank
you
you.
in January.
Yes, can't wait.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.